Good morning, everyone. My name is Richard Reyes-Gavilan. I'm the Executive Director of the District of Columbia Public Library. I'd like to welcome you all to the Dorothy I Library. Of the myriad transformative programs that take place in this building, few have been as consequential as the digital literacy courses conducted by ByteBack with funding from the Federal Broadband Technologies Opportunity Program. To talk a little bit about the outcomes of this program, it is my honor and distinct pleasure to introduce to you Mayor Vincent C.
Gets right to the point, doesn't he? Thank you very much, Richard. Good morning, everybody. Isn't this a beautiful day outside? Yeah, right. Well, we're delighted to be here. I've been to the Dorothy I Library so many times. You know, I used to be the council member representing Ward 7, and then became the chair, and I've been involved with libraries really all my life. As a matter of fact, I did the legislation that named this library Dorothy I, and very proud of that for one of our, true icons who made such an enormous contribution to this country and, of course, to this city in the process. I think there's only one other library that I've been to more, and that's the Northeast Library, because I grew up in that neighborhood and used the library growing up. We have modernized so many of our libraries. I think, what do we have, Richard? 26 libraries? Yeah, yeah. Yep, so I was going to use the number 17. Good morning, Rudy. I was going to use the number 17, but 20 sounds better.
17 when West End and Woodbridge open, so that'll
Okay.
be soon.
Yeah, but 15 and 5 adds up to 20. We'll take that, okay? In any event, we're delighted to be here today. To see so many more libraries, of course, coming online, but we're not really here to celebrate that today. We're really here to celebrate the fact that we have, awarded a grant several years ago by our partners, our national partners at the Department of Commerce's National Telecommunications and Information Administration, as a $2.4 million broadband technology opportunities grant. And it has really transformed the lives of lots of people. There are about 1,500 people who participated in this program, and they have been able to learn to use computers in ways that they hadn't before. And of course, we know it allows folks to be able to keep in touch with their family and for recreational purposes. How many times have you walked past a computer thinking somebody was really working hard and they really were playing solitaire or something on a computer? But that's okay, too, if that's the way you learn to use it. I want to thank ByteBack, Back, which we worked with for many years for the work that they have done. They did a survey. In addition to helping us train people, they did a survey to determine how many people have benefited and in what ways they benefited. What they found, and you'll hear more about that shortly, because Kelley Ellsworth, I think, is here with us today. 15% of the students got a new job within 6 months of finishing the course. And those who actually finished the course, on average, are working 32 hours a week and earned an average of almost $14,500 in terms of the additional skills that they had acquired. There are 250 students who have participated in this program. I think what is astounding is that they have earned collectively, in aggregate, $3.6 million additional, which is exactly what you would hope, that people have a different set of skills that they've acquired and, in fact, have earning power that is beyond where they were before. We have really focused a lot on expanding our economy here in the city, and a lot on technology. Our OCTO, of course, is a leader nationally. For those of you who didn't see it, OCTO was, on behalf of the District of Columbia, we were selected as the best website in the nation recently. We got so many best ofs. We just keep searching, to find, what are we number one in now? And you all know that we are now the coolest city in America and the fittest city in America. And just this week, we were named by the Lonely Planet, which is a group I had not heard of before. But you know what? we were named by them as the best vacation spot, not in the nation, in the world. How you like that? Now that's lofty, isn't it? So we keep looking for the best of stuff so that people will affirm where we are. And this is yet another example of us being able to, I think, do good and demonstrate where our city is going, especially with the use of technology. So again, I'm delighted to be here, and I want to ask Richard to come back up and continue the program. But thank you very much, the D.C. Public Libraries. Thank you, Richard. I hope you're getting settled in fully to your new job with the shoes of Jenny Cooper that you had to fill. And I want to thank Byte Back, too, for the work they've done to help us get to where we are today. Richard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I begin to sound a bit like a broken record when I talk about the increasingly important role that public libraries play with respect to digital readiness. Libraries have offered public computing for about a quarter of a century, if you can believe it. First in the form of computer catalogs that laid waste to the beloved card catalog, soon followed by newspapers and magazine databases, then with the advent of the earliest World Wide Web browsers, access to the internet. For years, libraries would measure their success in terms of how much computer access they provided, how many machines, how many sessions. And while I would never diminish the importance of access, the truth is that we now realize that access is only a small part of the problem. The larger problem, the adaptive problem that libraries are increasingly involved in solving is that of digital readiness. I say it all the time, but libraries are transforming into agents of human capital development, and the work that was done in concert with Byte Back really does prove that point. What exactly does that mean, digital readiness? It's a term that now supersedes digital literacy in that it suggests that being able to type in a URL or move a mouse is no longer enough. Digital readiness is now a prerequisite to thriving in the modern world. It's more than online job search. It's more than learning how to write and format a resume. Life's important transactions are now moving exclusively online. Forget thriving. It's just becoming harder to be a person without a more sophisticated understanding of the online world. The report that we're celebrating this morning focuses on the impact that the BTOP program has had on workforce development, but that's not all it highlights. Disabled citizens learning what it is required to apply for and keep track of their benefits. Returning citizens gaining a better understanding of the community into which they are returning by learning about technology that may not have existed prior to their incarceration. Young men and women preparing to take the high school equivalency examination, which is now administered exclusively online, who can concentrate on studying for the test because they've mastered the environment in which the test is being conducted. Men and women without homes learning to apply for housing benefits, and the list goes on. DCPL is so proud of its participation in the BTOP program and looks forward to continuing to find ways to leverage its phenomenal buildings, like the Bending Library in which we're standing, and strong partnerships like the ones that we've developed with the Department of Commerce and NTIA specifically in Byte Back, to better serve the learning needs of all of its users on whatever end of the digital readiness spectrum that they may find themselves.
This grant from the NTIA came at the perfect time, right when the need for computer training had really gone through the roof. There were two things that happened at once. There were a lot of people who lost jobs. They lost jobs that had nothing to do with computers, but then they needed computer skills to be able to apply again for those same jobs. So there was a huge need for computer literacy training. At the same time, there were a lot of people realizing that the occupation they had before either didn't exist anymore or was about to go out of existence. So a lot of people interested in training up and learning new skills to have careers that pay a living wage. Over the course of the program, we had 2,178 enrollments from almost 1,700 unduplicated students. A lot of these students face significant challenges and barriers to learning and to employment. 24% of the students were disabled, and to meet their needs, we had classes that were wheelchair accessible. We had assistive and adaptive technology to help them. We also taught classes in American Sign Language. So we had students over the course of this grant students who were deaf, students who were blind, 2 students who were both deaf and blind, students who used wheelchairs, walkers, or canes. 14% of our students in this program were returning citizens. They had a lot of limitations to their schedules and where they could go to take classes, so we offered classes at 2 locations that were served by the Office of Returning Citizen Affairs. Transportation, as we all know, is a big issue in this city. It's very costly, and for the 78% of the students who did not have a job, it was particularly challenging. In addition, 42% of the students were homeless or precariously housed. They were living on somebody's couch, they were in an emergency shelter, they were living on the street. So in order to meet the needs of this problem, we had classes at 23 different locations in as many neighborhoods as we could so that people would not have to travel across the city to take these classes. We offered customized instruction for youth, for senior citizens, and we also offered classes specialized for Spanish speakers. 75% of the students in this program did not have a computer at home, and 89% didn't have access to high-speed internet. To address this problem, the grant provided for refurbished computers for all the graduates, as well as free internet service for 1 year. A lot of the students that participated in this program had a deep-seated fear of technology, and a really important way of addressing that was to house the classes in places where people felt safe, where places that were convenient and comfortable. So the libraries were a really important partner in this aspect. We also partnered with other nonprofit, community-based organizations that, again, felt safe and comfortable. One thing we saw again and again in this program were students who had been unsuccessful in school and had little faith in their own ability to learn. And this is one of the things I'm the most excited about. We use an empowerment model of instruction that uses project-based learning and contextual learning, where students experience success early and often. And as a result, 64% of the students in this program said the program increased their desire for education, and more importantly, 42% of those actually acted on that desire by pursuing their GED, a college degree, or a certification or other educational option. While the goal of the BTOP grant program was to provide computer literacy training and increase internet adoption, the goal for many of our students was employment. Therefore, we taught students how to use the internet to search and apply for jobs, how to use computers to create a resume and a cover letter. We created job clubs, job seeker boot camps, and we provided weekly one-on-one assistance for students to create a resume and cover letter and prepare for interviews. We also encouraged our BTOP-funded students to enroll in classes at Byte Back, some of which were BTOP funded and some were not, where they could take certification classes or entrepreneurship classes. According to our outcome survey, which was completed by 323 of the 1,657 students, our formerly unemployed students found jobs earning an average of $13.10 an hour, working 32 hours a week for about 7.9 months by the time they were surveyed. This means that they earned an average of $1,407 in increased earnings. If we can assume that the survey respondents are representative of the overall students, what that amounts to is over $3 million in increased student earnings up till the point they were surveyed. That doesn't count whatever they earned since then. In the 21st century, customer satisfaction is a critical thing in business and in nonprofits as well. Most of our students have been shortchanged in almost every aspect of life, but we felt it's important that even though the classes are free, that they needed to be high quality and engaging, and that our customer service needed to be top-notch. I'm proud to say that the student satisfaction rate with this program was 97.1%, that 98% of students said they'd recommend the course to others, and 86% say they plan to take another Byte Back class. I want to thank the mayor and the teams at DCPL and OCTO, NTIA, the Department of Commerce, the Obama administration, my staff, and AmeriCorps members, and all of our partners. The benefits of this grant were far-reaching. Its size and scope enabled us to work together to quickly address the digital divide that separates district residents from opportunity. And I want to mention in a little while, we'll hear from one of our students who can tell you a little bit about her experience at Byte Back.
Thank you, Kelley. Currently, I'm a five-generation Washington native Washingtonian, and I just had a great time at Byte Back. I learned a lot. I was unemployed at the time, and I was in the middle of a job search. In that job search, I found a flyer, and it said Byte Back, free classes, free computer, free internet access. And I said, well, this would help me because my job search wasn't going very well. That's when I took the office track program with Lorena Holguin. She was a very young, energetic student, but she knew how to handle older adults in a classroom setting. And she took us through the Microsoft Office programs, step by step. By the time we finished, I felt very secure, and I'm going back to my job search. And that job search still yielded nothing. So I went right back to Byte Back, and in doing so, I took the IC3 course, and IC3 is the Internet Core Computer Certification course. And I took that with Andrew Quilpa, and he took us through the online social media experience. When we went through that class, I felt more secure in knowing that I knew how to get around online as well as work the programs through Microsoft. And having that knowledge, I ended my job search and began something that I wanted to do while in high school. I went to William McKinley Tech High School, and they had a mass media program. So that was something I was always interested in. And I received my BA from UDC, University of District of Columbia. And after completing that, I had several jobs, but nothing was really what I wanted to do. And my last job ended with a contract ending in security. And the contract ended, and that's how I ended up unemployed. But I stopped the job search because it was something I wanted to do, and that was to write that book. And I have several other books underway. But I was very encouraged by the classes I've taken at Byte Back to continue with my works. And I was able to put out my book because of the Microsoft Office program, and especially PowerPoint. I was able to do the cover and self-publish. And that's what I'm doing now, and I enjoy it. I'm much happier, more relaxed. And I can thank Byte Back for allowing that and giving me my hope back that I can be empowered to do things that I thought were done that I couldn't do. So they definitely gave me a hope back, and I thank them very much.
I won't take up much of your time, but I think what happened with this program, which was part of the stimulus package, the Recovery Act in 2009, is that there was a tremendous amount of creativity and potential that was unleashed. And you can see it at Byte Back, you can see it at DC Public Library and at OCTO. The district actually got 4 different grants from this program, so they were able to build out some broadband infrastructure to connect anchor institutions like city government, schools, libraries, and so forth. But as Richard said, if you can imagine that happening all over the country, there were $450 million invested in public computer centers, in training, in helping families get online, and helping school kids get online. And the creativity, as I was saying to someone earlier, it's been a privilege to be part of that and to be part of the unleashing of that kind of commitment and passion and creativity. So you should be proud, DC, of what you've accomplished, and Byte Back, and all of you. And we are working now to make sure that this momentum continues forward, and that all across the country, the human capital that's been developed, as well as the many other resources, are plowed back into our communities and our economy. Thank you.